Hello, my name is Kayla Wilson, and this is my project on the artist formerly known as Prince and his negotiations to get out the deal with Warner Brothers. Hello, my name is Kayla Wilson, and this is my research case study presentation on the artist formerly known as Prince. The conflict negotiation going on with Prince and Warner Brothers was because Prince felt he should have ownership of his master recordings like all artists do. But the record label was unsure about copyright terminations. Also, he had issues concerning owning his name, his stage name, and issues concerning owning everything that had to do with his image and look in regards to him being an artist. And ultimately, like all artists do, he had issues with money. In the request of each party and their interests, most of the valuable things in the recording industry are not tangible. So it would be called intellectual property. And intellectual property is it's not tangible, but it would be a work or anything like a song or a copyright that it's connected to a creative work. And the main goal of that record label was ultimately to keep the successful artist on their label so they can continue to make money off that artist. And of course, as a songwriter, the most important part of being a songwriter is being able to maintain your copyright and ownership of that copyright so that you can sell it and reuse it over and over again and have continuous source of income. Overall, it's definitely difficult to say what specific negotiation techniques were used, but through the research, I found that both parties used dirty tricks, negative emotions, and the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Um, our Prince ultimately was able to release music still while negotiating his contract with Warner Brothers. But in order to release himself from the contract that was negotiated previously, he had to have 4 albums. So he went into the studio and started just throwing albums with really nothing on them, nothing to make those albums sell. And there also were a different amounts of negative emotion through the public where Prince would go to public shows, public TV areas, and write the word slave on his face. And shooting back at that, Warner Brothers publicist would say that if he's a slave, then he's one of the best paid slaves in the world. And a dirty trick that Warner Brothers used was, according to him, allegedly giving him a verbal agreement about an album and releasing it, but not letting it count toward the 4 albums that he needed to release himself from the contract. One of the positive sides of this negotiation was um, they were able to mutually agree that they wanted to remake and remaster his older works to be able to put out again. So ultimately, that was the positive part of it, and that both parties would be able to mutually be beneficial to both. So again, on the negative side of negotiations, Prince would write the word slave on his face and definitely try to make a spectacle of everything that was going on and make it really public. Another thing was Prince changed his name into an unpronounceable symbol, so no one really knew what to call him, and he started going as the artist formerly known as Prince or the symbol. So people didn't really know what to call him. And again, as I mentioned earlier, he just began to throw music out there, just throw music together to put on an album to, release himself from that record label. After all the fighting and issues that were dealt with, Ultimately, Prince returned to Warner Brothers, and they were able to welcome him back. And he was able to gain his rights to his masters, and he was able to negotiate more money, and he was also able to maintain his name. And that was one of the most important things that was mentioned in negotiations earlier. His response to that was Warner Brothers Records and IEYE are quite pleased with the results of the negotiation and look forward to a fruitful working relationship. And the CEO stated that everyone at Warner Brothers Records is delighted to be working with Prince once again. He's one of the world's biggest stars and a truly unique talent. So in the end, they both were able to make things work and have everything worked out. My references are listed on the next page. And thank you guys so much for viewing my presentation. Bye-bye.